Good evening, Erev Tov, and good day to all our friends wherever you are. My name is Ruby Shamir, and I'm the Executive Director of AIFL, the America-Israel Friendship League. I'm happy to host you on this webinar focusing on leading Israeli Arab women. The AIFL is hosting webinars on different topics twice a week. We actually have hosted already approximately 90 webinars since COVID started. So far, we have hosted many webinars specializing on women and women's issues, but not only women. We have done women in special duties in the army, women advancing in sports, women in healthcare, and in the next few weeks, we are planning to have women in science and women legislators. Today, I am proud to introduce to you 3 Israeli women of achievement, each of them in a different field. The panel will be moderated by a dynamic Druze scholar, Susan here. Susan, a dual PhD student at the School of Psychological Sciences at the University of Haifa, Israel, and the Department of Religious Studies at Abo Academy University in Finland. Susan, I'm very glad and I invite you to start moderating the panel. Before you just start, I want to ask you all, please let us know in the chat, either on Facebook or on Zoom, where you're calling from, and please don't hesitate to send us questions, as many and as difficult as you want. So, Susan, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone, and good afternoon to our friends abroad. Thank you very much, Ruby, and for all the friends at the AIFL for inviting me to moderate this fascinating webinar tonight. As the topic of the current webinar is Israeli Arab female entrepreneurs, I am honored today to speak to 3 amazing women, each with a fascinating life story. Professor Mona Khoury-Kassabry, Dean of School of Social Work and Social Welfare at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Ms. Maysam Jaljouli, Chairperson of Naamat, Southern Triangle region. And Ms. Lana Zahir, Vice President of Al Arz Tahini. Good evening, ladies, and thank you very much for joining me tonight. So as an Arab female, as a minority, I know that behind every woman who got to a position like the ones that you're occupying, there's an interesting life story. So before delving deeply into the Arab woman's status in Israel, I would like to start by asking each of you, if you may please, introduce yourselves to our audience. So, Mona, maybe you can start.
Hi, and thank you. I'm excited to be here with you and this great woman. And my name is Mona, as you said, and I'm the Dean of the School of Social Work at the Hebrew University, and I'm the consultant for minority affairs for the Hebrew University president. And I studied juvenile violence and delinquency, school violence, and parenting. I'm socially active, especially these days with many committees that are dealing with COVID-19 with my friend Maysam, that we are members of several committees together. And this is in general that I can say about myself.
Thank you very much, Mona. Maysam?
Hello. I'm very glad to be here with you all today. Maysam Jaljouli. As you said, Susan, I'm the chairperson of Naamat in the South Triangle area, but I'm also political feminist and social activist, and I'm also the chairwoman of Sikui, which is an NGO which deals with civil equality in Israel between the Arabs and Jews. And I'm also a member in عاملين بياخد نقف معا, standing together which is an organization which tries to mobilize people on issues of equality in the occupation and social justice. And I'm active in a lot of organizations, and I am very interested in issues that deal with equality, issues that deal with social justice. And I'm a mother, I'm married, I'm a mother of 3 children, and that's it.
Thank you very much, Maisam. Lana?
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I saw highs from Canada, Paris, everywhere. It's amazing. So my name is Lana Zahir. I'm originally from Nazareth. I live today in Tel Aviv. I am a second generation in a family business. We own a tahini factory. It's called Al Arz Tahini, which is based in the north of Israel. Yeah, thank you. Yes, this is our tahini. This is the whole sesame. So it's, as I said, it's a family business. It's me and my brother. I would like to tell you a little bit about how we started, but some history about the factory and how come we're here today in the food business. So my dad started the business in 1990. And he bought a few machines. He wanted all of a sudden to start a tahini factory. And we were a bit, didn't know why. You don't have any basic background in food. How are you going to do this? It's a factory. It's not a joke. And so he started doing his first few 100 kilos, even 50 kilos, the few first month. And the people who he really would give him feedback for the tahini was women all over. And back then, like the grandmothers and the elder generation were very, very, especially in Nazareth, proud of their cooking and the cuisine and the raw material they use. So he thought that they will be the perfect people to give him feedback if he wants to grind a tahini a bit thinner or thicker. Or so that's how we started. It was a small business in Nazareth, and then in 2003, he passed away at a very young age. My mother was a school teacher. She was a math teacher, going back home early to the kids. I have a younger brother, and so she decided to quit her work and take over the business without knowing anything in the business world. And just jumping into this crazy world. And it's a long story of all the barriers and the achievements, and from learning the business to learning what makes a good tahini, to getting the employees in and telling them, hey, there's a new boss in the house, which is really also hard mentally. So that's our story. It began in 2003. And I was still first year in the university. And I studied international relations, and I wanted to travel the world, and I wanted to be in some Ministry of Affairs or, UN, I don't know, like just name it. I wanted to be around the world. And then I made a switch and I said, okay, my mother is in the business. I need to be there, and I'll take the part that I love. And I did every position possible in the factory. Really, everything. I covered the whole field. And today, after doing my MBA, I did my Kellogg Recanati MBA. It's a joint venture program with Northwestern, and after that, I started. Now I do all the exports and business development in the company, and it's our baby. It's something we're very proud of. And till today, I go around the world and I see our tahini on the shelves. We export to the US, we export to Europe, even the Far East, and it's the new food. It's the superfood, and it's so sufficient, and it's beautiful to see it and to see people talking about it and to hear good feedbacks. So that's what I do today. And my younger brother is in the business with us. So it's a real family business. It's a small family business. Thank you, Sausan.
Thank you very much, Lana. That is really a very inspiring and interesting story. So thanks for sharing it. And I would use your story to present to start this discussion, because you've mentioned that there were lots of difficulties and obstacles, and your mom had to quit her job and enter the business to keep it ongoing. And I know that although, like, regardless of all the modernization process that the Arab society in Israel is going through, Arab women in labor market, the percentage of Arab women in the labor market is still approximately around 25% as compared to 60 plus percent in the Jewish community. And also, by the way, in education, although in general, the percentage of Arab females in academia is higher than that of Arab males. But these percentages change when we relate to doctorate and master's degrees specifically. Then this percentage is less than that of men and less, of course, than that of Jewish female. And I would like to start by asking you, Mona, perhaps as a scholar and as a dean of social works, and with all the positions and your involvement in education, higher education, what in your opinion is, or actually are, the obstacles that hinder Arab women from achieving equality or even come close to equality in labor market? And also, if you can relate to the academia, why do you think their percentage is less than that of males when it comes to master's and doctorate degrees?
So if you talk about the job market, I believe Maysam also can add after that. She's an expert in that, and she wrote a paper about it. But in general, we can see that we can say that Arab women suffer of many barriers. Some of them are structural. So we know that Arab women, there is a huge problem of transportation going outside of the villages and Arab towns to workplaces. We know that there are no daycares or later daycares, after school activities. So Arab women usually can work only part-time work, and we know that it affects their wages and their ability to be hired, because not everyone wants to hire women who can work only part-time job. We know that there are insufficient industrial and commercial zones near the areas where Arab families live. So they have to travel. And as I said, there is another problem of traveling. And all these also affect their earning and their ability to be integrated and their ability to get fair payment for their work. So this is in general the issue. And if we talk about students at the university, as you mentioned, we have more females. Actually, at the Hebrew University, I checked that earlier, we have Arab females more than males in all the degrees. Also in the PhD, the gap is higher in the undergraduate, and it gets closer, the groups get closer when they go for master's and PhD. But the problem is that we have less women in the staff. And this is a problem for Jews and Arabs. It's not only our problem. Yeah. And this is unfortunately because women who want to go for academia, they have to go for postdoc and to leave the country and to do at least 1 to 2 years abroad. And many women are not able to do that because of family difficulties, financial difficulties, and all these issues. And I believe now we have a lot of programs that we are trying to help Arab and the underprivileged groups. There is a program also for ultra-Orthodox women also that, and for Ethiopian women, that we want to help them also attend academia and complete their PhD and go for postdoc. And I hope we will be able to recruit more Arab, and in general, more Arab staff. But of course, I will be happy to have also Arab women in our faculty.
I see. Thank you. Can you please tell us a little bit about these initiatives that you're talking about? how do you encourage them? How do you actually help them?
So we have different programs. In general, we are implementing the program of the Council for Higher Education to increase access to the university. And this actually was reflected in the increase of numbers of Arab students. In 5 years, it increased from 12% to 17%, which is a huge increase. And mainly students from East Jerusalem that before that they were not able to attend the Hebrew University because the requirements were high, and also they had to pay a lot of money for the pre-academic year, and now it's funded by the Council of Higher Education. And for master's and PhD degrees, we have special scholarships from Yad Nadiv and Neubauer family, and that we support Arab students in order to complete their master's and PhD studies. And also we have for faculty members who are from STEM, a contribution from the, I forgot the name of the family, it doesn't, Baurit family, that they support also faculty members who we recruit for STEM. So we can encourage them to be recruited. And there are also special scholarships for Arab students also funded for the PhD and postdoc studies. So we hope that all these, in addition to the support that we give them in their academic degrees and the courses in academic writing and Hebrew language and English language, we believe that they will be able to finish, to complete successfully their undergraduates and go for masters.
Great, thank you very much. I think these initiatives are really important, and they really make a difference in minorities or disprivileged lives. This is really blessed, and I'm happy to hear about these initiatives. And that leads me to my next question to Maysam. Speaking of initiatives, I know that Na'amat is the largest women's movement in Israel, and I would like to ask you, maybe you can tell our audience a little bit more about Na'amat and about the initiatives you give and you do, and maybe you can also relate specifically during the COVID-19 pandemic, because of course the pandemic made lots of women lose their employment, and of course the recent statistics indicate that the percentage of violent cases against women and murder cases of women is an increase. So I would be very thankful if you can tell us a little bit about Na'amat and relate to the other topics as well.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Muna. I just want to add something before I tell about Na'amat. When Muna talked about the obstacles that the Arab women faces in the labor market in Israel, I think there is another important issues. One of them is the language, the Hebrew language. A lot of our women, when they finish high school, they actually study Hebrew in high school, but their Hebrew is not good enough that can help them really take positions in the Israeli labor market. Of course, in the university, they gain the language, but I think when it comes to women, not academic women, so it is a real problem. And another very important obstacle is the willingness of, employers to employ Arab women. And we see that, unfortunately, the Israeli labor market is not willing to have Arab women in their workplaces. And this is very, for me, it's, it's very disappointing, because we know that workplaces or that don't have this kind of
Sorry?
Diversity.
Diversity, yes.
Diversity.
Diverse. Yes, I think that diverse workplaces is a win-win situation for the labor market in Israel, but a lot of employers doesn't understand that. And when it comes to Arab women, also we faces sometimes situations of racism And we had a lot of situations that they didn't want to have a woman which have a scarf or, a headscarf to work. And in my work in Na'amat and in the Histadrut also, we represent such women in courts, because in order to have a decent workplace, you need also to defend their women and their rights in the labor market. So regardless of Na'amat, Na'amat is the biggest women organization in Israel. It is a Jewish Arab organization, and it connects to the Histadrut. It's a part of the Histadrut. The Histadrut is the biggest labor union in Israel, and Na'amat is some kind connected to the Histadrut. In my position, I am in an elected position. I have to be elected every 5 years. This is my 15 years.
Wow.
In Na'amat. In 2 years, I will finish, and I will have, to see what I'm going to do next.
Maisa?
And I think that in the last years, we are, yes?
Yeah, I lost you for a second.
Can you hear me?
Now, yes.
You're back.
Yeah.
You're
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So in Na'amat, we are trying all the time to engage with Arab women more and more. And I think this is something unique, that we are the chairwoman, the Arab chairwoman of Na'amat. And we are 5 Arab chairwomen in Na'amat are trying to do all the time. We are dealing with issues of labor. We are dealing with issues of engaging women to higher positions in their workplaces. We do a lot of work of engaging women in the labor market. Not academic women who finish high school and wants to work. And we also deal a lot with issues of domestic violence against women. And we have a lot of courses and a lot of, activities to raise awareness in the society in issues of domestic violence. We also enter the schools. We speak to students and to pupils in high schools and in junior high schools. And I think this is the 3 major important issues that we deal with. I actually, in the last few years, I'm very engaged of projects of having more and more women in elected positions. Because I think, and this is not only for Arab women, for all women in Israel, I think that in order to change our situation and to change this reality, and we need more women in leading positions. We need more elected women in every field, not only in the Knesset or in the local councils or municipalities. We need them in every aspect of the daily life. And this is what we are trying to do in Na'amat. Regardless of COVID-19, I think that the major crisis that we face is not only the health crisis. We are facing right now a social, economic crisis in Israel, and it affects especially women. And it affects especially Arab women in Israel and other minorities. Because, the last statistics shows that the first to lose their jobs are the Arab women. And unfortunately, I can tell you that the last one who will return to their jobs are Arab women. And, sometimes I feel that, we had a lot of achievements in the last decades. And I'm afraid that we will lose all of this achievement if the government doesn't do now actions for integrating Arab women again in the labor market. And we are doing a lot of advocacy in this issue right now. Na'amat and another organization, in order to help women to re-engage the labor market. Regardless of issues of domestic violence, we all know, and you said it, Sausan, that the statistics are very hard statistics, actually, that shows that we have 300% increase increasing in domestic violence. And I think that the government is not doing good in this issue, because back in 2017, the government had approved a program with 250 million shekels in order to have programs that deals with domestic violence. And unfortunately, the budget didn't release, and the organization that take care of this issue didn't get any help from the government. So we had a lot of work. And I want to say something else, that in periods of election also, the issues that important for women in Israel are not the major and the important issues. And in the last 2 years, we are in election after election and after election, and it seems to be that we are, as women, becoming more and more and more, let's say, less there, or we're becoming invisible for the politicians in Israel, and the women issues are becoming invisible for the politicians. And we have now a window that is open in order to force, and I will say to force politicians to give answers for these issues.
Thank you very much for all the information, and I'm really happy always to hear all about the initiatives and the aims to promote women, and specifically Arab women in society, as you're dealing with so many difficulties. Now, I have very interesting questions to each of you, but now I would love to take some questions of the audience, because the discussion is so interesting. So we're flooded with questions. So I will just take one, at least for now, from Munira. Munira asks that some of the initiatives she have in her village tries to bring the academia into the village, because it's a problem for women to go outside of the village. What do you think about this solution? Would you say it moves matters to the right direction, or would you say it actually does harm, since what can be brought in isn't the same level as that of universities? Mona or Lana or Maisam, I'm opening the stage.
I will be happy to start. Maybe Maisam, would you like to say, or Lana?
Oh, go ahead. That's fine. I'll do.
Yeah. So actually, there is no
Go ahead, Mona.
correct or false thing to do. I can't say it's correct or not. It depends. If we have a lot of women in this village who are studying outside, and now they are changing that and letting them study inside the village, it's a huge mistake. Okay? But if we are looking at this and we are saying it's the first step, these are the first women who are in this village, are offered the opportunities to study. So I will not stop them. I will let them get this education, because at the end, educated women is much more easier for them, for our society to make a change than uneducated woman. So if this is the only opportunity, I don't think it's a mistake. And I believe that this woman will lead the change in the future. I don't believe that if this woman don't have another opportunity, that we should block this opportunity for them. I believe that a change should be happening, and I think that some of them will go study outside. But as a first step in a change, I can accept that, but not for the long term. For the long term, I want them to go study outside. As Maisam said, if you want to be integrated in the job market and everywhere, we can't just study in the same area, in the same place, and study in Arabic. Then we don't have any job opportunities if we still live in the same village all the time. So this is my opinion on that.
Thank you very much. I really think that this is very right thing to do as well from my own personal point of view, because I believe that a woman, when she gets educated, that will sort of, makes this sort of a norm that education is okay, and she will educate her daughter, and that will open or pave the way for others as well.
I just want to add in this issue, I want to add something that sometimes, yes, the education is very important, but we should also, change structural, the structure of society. And we should use the education, the women education to change the structure of the society. And we should encourage young women and girls to study not only, how can I say it, a female position or a female jobs. We need to work a lot in order to change this this issue, because if you look at the most girls, a lot of girls are studying, to be a teachers or studying medical positions, which is women positions, and we know that the salaries in these positions are less than other salaries in the labor market. And I think we should encourage our girls to study engineering, to study jobs that all the time are considered to be men jobs. And this is also a challenge that we should deal with.
Thank you, Maisam. And I can tell you that a recent statistics that I encountered lately, I think it was by the Central Bureau of Statistics, did indicate that the percentage of Arab women in engineering and in sciences has increased very highly in the last years. These are the good news, let's say.
To add up, like many companies, I agree with what Mona and Maisam said about the bringing education to people. It's also a way to get gender equality and opportunities. But as for tech and educated women, the new generation and the percentage of women in tech, Arab women in tech, is it's increasing. And it's beautiful to see that. And even Microsoft lately opened the R&D center in Nazareth. Some people were against, saying like, why, let people go out and integrate others. But I think it's a great opportunity because they're doing amazing job. Also for women, they have the new program like She Codes, and they're bringing mentoring and advisors, just to start step by step and lead these young women into a great opportunity in career. So it doesn't contradict. It's good to have also for these villages and cities to develop and to have R&D centers and to have tech centers and for real estate, for everything around it. It's a good opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, I totally agree. And that leads me to my next question to you, Lana. This is a question that I wanted to ask. I prepared it prior to this webinar, and I saw now that one of our audience, Miss Linda Gradstein, sorry if I misspelled the name, asked about speaking of women in labor market and with all the difficulties that we face as women. I remember that during July 2020, I'm not a person who follows news. I lacked the time to do this, but I remember that I was on Facebook and I was scrolling down, and there was this huge debates and calls to boycotting Al-Arz Tahini. Because your mom, Ms. Julia Zahar, made a donation for an assistance line to the LGBTQI community.
True.
And I remember right then thinking to myself, wow, like what a strong woman she must be to do such a thing as an Arab, and specifically as a woman. And hearing your story, and now hearing that your mom was also became a widow while she did this previously, but like she was a widow, so she had no man at her to back her up. I think this is really strong thing to do, and I would love, first of all, to ask you, maybe you can tell us a little bit about this incident and about how did your mom as woman faced all the attacks that came after this step.
Right. So yeah, I'll divide my answer to two. One is, again, is being a leader, an entrepreneur, believing what you do. That's what Mother Julia did. So what happened is many people asked us, and it was in July, you're right, July 1st even, we donated money to the helpline, assistant line, to LGBTQ in Arabic. And, it's a very, it's a good thing to get counselors and advisors and psychologists to people in need that they have no one to talk to, especially in Arabic. And so it seemed very blessed. It is a blessed idea. And we did that quietly, and someone very extreme came out and said that what we did is we're ruining many things and many beliefs and many thoughts, and people starting boycotting our products. And actually, we saw that on the news. We saw it on Facebook. There were movies and small, people throwing our tahini in the garbage, and it was really tough time because no one wanted or intended to come against society or beliefs. But we're in 2021. And talking about equality, I think it's a basic thing to do. And but we got amazing love and support after a few days from everyone, from society, from both Arabs and Jewish, worldwide, from the media, from professors, really from every field possible. And that kept us, and Julia, my mom, strong and going forward. So this is one kind of thing that, when you believe in something and you believe that you're doing good and for a good purpose and cause, nothing else matters. And that's what we do in everything in life. And that's how we run the company. And that's how my mom ran the company before we came along, because she believes in herself. As I mentioned in the beginning, that it's being a woman, an Arab woman, in a machoistic business industry, with all the barriers. It's not easy. And she said she had a vision and she had a purpose and she wanted to succeed. And the more people said that she will fail, after my father passed away, I said, oh, she'll fail. In few weeks, in few months, the business will close and someone will buy it. So that gave her the motivation to move forward. And that's not just my mom, but that's entrepreneurship. That's leaders. These women that we should have in our society to lead, to motivate, to show that yes, we can. And you know what, modestly saying, being a woman who leads a factory, who runs a factory and a successful factory, and she always says, I do it with intuition, with my intuition, with what feels right. I don't have to have an amazing business background or analysis, or because if I did analyze at the beginning what I'm getting myself into, I don't think I would do it or move forward. So it's just really intuition is leading. It's believing in who you are and what you are. And that's amazing to see also other women or younger women telling her that thanks to you, now we're dreaming, or we opened a business, or we want to try, we want to give it a try. And that little piece of, the little thing might affect others and might just, give an opportunity or a chance for someone else to say, hey, if she could do it, she's a math teacher, so I can do it. And that's what I love, and that's what we're trying to say, that you don't have to be, we're just, anyone can do it if you believe in it, and if you have the purpose and you know how, and just do it your way. So that's our belief, and we're still going forward with it.
That is very heart-touching, really.
Thank you.
And I'm happy that I think well afterwards. Sorry?
I want to have a comment.
Yeah.
I think that this case, the Julia Zaher's case, and with the Trina and the LGBTQ community, shows us that the winds of change are brought by women. Only women can have the change, and I believe in the woman power. And I think that Julia had taught us all a lesson, that we should not be afraid of anything, that we should be courageous as a woman. And I think that we are, the Arab women, are so strong in order to bring the change and bring the modernity to our community. And really, I think that it is very inspiring. The most inspiring story into 2020. So I just want to say that I'm very proud of you, and you did the right thing.
Thank
My
you.
son, as you know, we almost say the same things in the meetings. So I was just going to say the same thing. I actually was thinking while you were describing your mother, I just was thinking, if that was a man and all the attack that happened, I'm not sure, but it might be easier for him even to give up on that and say, okay. But she stand on what she said, and she showed us how to fight for your beliefs. And it was really a huge lesson for every one of us, that if you believe in something and you already did that, continue with the way you started. And I think that she didn't give up, and she didn't go back in her decision and said, I made a mistake. What usually people, I didn't mean that, I made a mistake. What people even started saying about the story, that maybe she wasn't sure. And she said, no, I was very sure. I knew what I'm doing. And please, this is my belief. And just I can say that, as Maysam said, we are very proud to have women like you.
Well, I believe that when someone does good, you get good back. Like when your intention is good, you get it back. When you do good, you get good. And I read afterwards in the marker, I think it was, that Al-Ars Tahini, after this incident, your income increased in approximately 28%. So at least there was a happy ending for this story for you. But besides that, I think as a person, today morning I was lecturing to high school students, and I told them that for me, the essence of life is make a change in someone else's life. And I believe that your mom did this for so many people. So you're blessed to have such a mom.
That's heartwarming. I am.
Yeah. So now I will move to another question. Well, I'm putting aside all the questions that I prepared, since we have so many interesting questions from the audience, and I'm really sorry that we might not get the time to relate to all the questions. But an anonymous attendee asked, why do you think there is such a difficulty for women in politics? Is it only the traditions? And your ladies are more than welcome to answer. I will not ask by name.
I think Maysam is the expert in that. She's more involved in politics than both of us. She's very active. But just to say, it's the difficulty of all women, not only Arab women, though. So
yes, exactly.
Maysam can add for that.
Exactly, Mona. It's not only the Arab women problem, that not only Arab women are not engaged in politics. It's all women all over the world, and also for Jewish Israeli women, we are facing the same problem. And I think it's, and also in the United States, I was in the United States and I heard a lot of stories about how it's difficult for a woman in the US to engage politics and, to have, to be active in politics. So, but if we are talking about our society, my society, the Arab society, I should say that we are a very conservative society. We are a very patriarchal society, actually. And I think that also the fact that we are a minority also affects the participation of women. Sometimes minorities feel, men in minorities feel that they are not having the opportunity to engage, the general society. So the main source of power for this woman, for this man, is politics, and especially when it comes to local politics and municipalities and city councils. So they are having a lot of efforts to engage politics because this is the only way that they can influence and unfortunately, in the Arab society in Israel, we are facing another problem, which calls the hamula, or the family, the big family. When it comes to election, especially to local election, the one who decides who are, candidates are not the political parties, but it's their families or the big families. It's, a social structure that it's not there, and it's not in the United States or in Europe or even in the Jewish society in Israel. It's a special structures for the Arab villages and towns here. And in such a patriarchal structure, which called the big family or the hamula, there is no place for women. There's actually no place. The women cannot find themselves in these families. So when I've been counseled with women, I all the time I tell them that the only way to participate in politics is to have your own parties or your own political list, or you should go to election as women and not to be related to these families. This is a huge challenge. It will be a huge challenge. It succeeded, and for example, in Isifia, in the last local election, and women succeeded to be elected to the city council, as a woman list. And we are having also a problem with, the language of politics. And I think that we can share it with other women all over the world. The politics is considered to be, politics of machoism, of a lot of, negative power, or actually sometimes struggles and ugly struggles. And women are not built for this ugly struggles. And they said it all the time. We are not built to have these ugly struggles. We need things to, we need to discuss things. We need to open things, but we are not willing to fight an ugly fight for everything that we need to say or need to change. And this is also a reason that women are not willing to be engaged to politics. Another reason, I think, the issues of engagement. Women are not engaged as men are engaged, and due to a historical reason, because most of the time women were not active in the political sphere or in the public sphere, and they cannot have this connection and these relations as men have, and it's sometimes very hard to build these relations. And we need, I think, to teach women how to build this relation. We need to work with women to gain this qualities and this, let's say, strategies in order to deal better in the political sphere. And this is actually what we are trying to do all the time, especially in the last few years. We teach women how to be our politicians. And what is surprising, and I'm surprised all the time, that we have a lot of women who want to be politicians. Really, they want to be, but they don't know how. And we can teach them how. And this is what we should do. And actually, in these issues, we have a lot of cooperation with Jewish women organization, and we are trying to do it together. And I think that also this is very important issues when we talk about shared society and cooperation between Jewish and Arabs. I think that we are the women are having the most successful platforms of cooperation and structures of shared society, especially when it comes to women issues and promoting women in Israel in general.
Thank you, Maysam. Thank you very much.
Maysam, we are waiting for you to be in.
We will talk about this later, Mona.
Because you don't need to be taught, so you can do it immediately.
It's in her, as you can see.
Exactly, I know.
Maybe you should consider it, Maysam, really.
Actually, in my position is a political position. You know, as a chairwoman of Na'amat, I am in a political position. So let's see what will come, you know, in the next few years. Everything is open.
Maybe, you know, but when you're in the Knesset, then you're more affecting others, and you have more abilities, and it's more, you have more power there. So consider it. Anyway, so as I said, we're really like flooded with questions and very interesting questions. But since I think we're getting close to the end of our webinar, right, Ruby?
Yeah, we have another 8 minutes to go.
Oh, okay. So I'll do it quick. Sorry for all those who posted question and we hadn't related to. And I think this is an idea for another future webinar, perhaps, to continue this interesting conversation. But a final question that I would like to ask each of you: what are your future plans, and where do you see Arab women in 10 years from today?
I can start. I'm an optimist, and I see the younger generation are like getting really advanced and getting much more educated. And I know, correct me, Mona and Maysam, you know, also in the master degrees, like there are more women continue to their master and PhD. And so I think we need all to aim to have equality and diversity in workplaces. And it starts from us as employers, as business owners, as to be very, very aware and to these matters. And wherever we can, to have diversity and equality and having women in business, we should do that. It comes from all of us, like from small things. So that's our goals, really. We're trying so much. It's beautiful to see what we have employees from all over in our factory, and it's beautiful to see the cooperation and the friendship and the love and the opportunities they give to each other. And I think, you know, that should be the case everywhere, but we should be very aware of that.
Thank you very much. Maysam?
Before, I think I said it a few times in this webinar, I think in the power of women. I think that women can bring the change. The only one who can bring the change actually are women. I believe, I'm a great believer in women, in women power. I'm a great believer in women courage. And I think that the only chance of having a change here in the Israeli society are Arab and Jewish women. And if we are together, if we continue to work together in order to gain a real equality and social justice in the Israeli society. So we are not winning ourselves, but we are winning the future of our children in Israel. So I will continue in the next years to work very hard to reach equality and social justice. I promise you.
Way to go. Thank you very much. Mona?
So I will continue this optimistic trend that started, and then, as Zelana said, I know Maysam, I'm very optimistic, and I believe that if you said where we see Arab women in 10 years in a better place, I'm sure And I believe that the numbers in higher education, I'm a great believer in education, and that we have so many females coming from traditional and non-traditional families, students who are coming from faraway villages, from the south, from the north, to study in the universities. And we know, like, for example, in the Bedouin society, more females than males go to complete their high schools and go to the university. So we know that women are able to do that, and we should help them in order to achieve this quality and equality in life, because we can't put all the blame or expectations on them. We should help underprivileged women and societies in order to be able to achieve at least the change that we are wishing to accomplish, because they can't do it alone. It's very difficult. Like, if you take a Bedouin woman, even if she goes to the university, she studied, but she needs that help during her studies and after that in order really to achieve an equal society. So I totally agree with what my friends say. Just be optimistic.
Thank you very much. Well, I am also very optimistic for the future, as I believe that every limit that a woman breaks will affect other women's life and will give her an inspiration. As today, as I previously mentioned, lecturing to high school students today, one of the students, a female student, wrote me that your story touched me very much, and now I believe that I can. And I was thinking, regardless of all the initiatives and regardless, which are very like powerful and affecting, having a woman, amazing woman like each of you as a role model, and thinking that she did it, so I can as well, is the first thing that gives the hope and makes a change. Because regardless of all the initiatives, a woman should believe in herself first, should have the willingness and the power to go for her dreams and follow her goals. So, and I think having role models and seeing that other women did gives strength many times. So I'm very optimistic as well. And I know that although we are very far from equality, but still we're promoting towards it and we're advancing towards it. And I believe that maybe in a couple of generations from now, we might actually get it. So with this optimism, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Maysam, Lana, and Mona. Thank you, Ruby, and thank all the friends in the AIFL. And thank everyone who joined us today. And I'm, again, sorry for not being able to answer all your questions, but I hope you got this sort of, let's call it, informative glance into the lives of Arab women in Israel. So thank you very much. And Ruby, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was great. I have to say that your optimism is contagious. And of all of you, it was a wonderful discussion. And thank you for being so frank with us, so open to us. It was really wonderful. I hope our audience enjoyed this discussion as I did. And again, I thank you. And I want to invite you to join all our webinars, our participants. I want to invite everybody to our next webinar will be on Sunday, this coming Sunday. We will have another virtual tour. This time it will be Kfar Nahum in the north of the country. So we have a virtual tour every Sunday, every month, I mean, on Sunday. So this will be another one, and I hope you all enjoy it and join us. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.